Hey everyone, we are here with you live and we're going to get into some great stuff today. I'm so excited about this. If you're like most people facing chronic symptoms, the hardest part isn't only like what to do for recovery, it's like when to do it and how to tell if you're actually moving forward because sometimes it can feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're not really sure. So that's our focus today. Like you're doing the work, but is it the right work? Are you on the right track? And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. I'm Raelan Agle, and this channel is where we piece together real world recovery from ME/CFS, long COVID, chronic pain, and so much more through lived experience and our recovery stories and the latest mind body science. And spoiler alert, recovery is absolutely possible. And today's guest is perfect for this conversation. I'm here with the incredible Amari Love, and her personal story with this is one of extraordinary perseverance. She had, am I getting this right, 3 decades with chronic illness, including a few years being bedbound with long COVID and ME/CFS before she discovered what the right work looked like for her and made a full recovery and is living the most amazing life. And Amari can tell us more about this, but I know that your turning point wasn't a single tool. It was an integration of many things, brain rewiring, somatic practices, emotional healing. And now Amari is an amazing mind body coach and writer, helping others identify their right work with clarity and compassion and humor and hard won wisdom. And if you want to hear her full recovery story, she's told that on the channel before, so that will be linked in this video's description. And because this is a live Q&A, we're jumping straight to your questions, whatever you want to hear, so that you are walking away from this with a little bit more insight for your next steps moving forward. And if you're watching the replay later on, you'll still leave with a ton of practical steps that you can consider applying right away. So let's dive in. Amari, I am so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Raelan. It's wonderful to be here. And hello to everybody at home. So, yes, I'm very excited to talk about mind body healing work and what might be the right thing or the missing piece for so many people. Because, as you say, sometimes it's hard to know. You're working so hard on your recovery and you don't quite know if you're doing the right things or the right work. And how can you know? So hopefully we're going to get some questions to help individual people know where they're at or what they might be missing, which will help more people across the board. And I recovered from 3 decades of chronic invisible illness. I don't know if people are noticing my throat's going, and that's a real often sign when emotions are coming up. You get kind of a gravelly throat. And even talking about 3 decades will kind of still bring it up for me a little bit for me to process. So when I was a child, I had something called growing pains, which a lot of people get. And then as a teenager, it turned into chronic back pain. And the chronic back pain went on for 30 years and it was added to by more and more symptoms. And so for people who sometimes they come for coaching and they say, but I just have pain or I have this thing, and it just goes on and on and on. I really understand. It's life destroying to have chronic pain, wherever that pain is. And then some people don't have pain, but they have other layered symptoms. They might have fatigue, they might have IBS, they might have lung issues, heart issues, autoimmune issues. And then that builds into something that the biomedical community call chronic complex syndromes. And that just means you have layered symptoms. You have many, many symptoms that sometimes change, sometimes one sticks and the others change. And I work with people to help them navigate the recovery path that's right to their unique circumstances. So a lot of people are trying so hard to do the work, but they're juggling their kids or a part-time job or a full-time job. And another person is completely bedbound and they're not juggling those things, but they've got a different set of circumstances. So it can be great to hear your unique questions so we can help different people at different phases. But everybody, all of those situations that I've mentioned, you can recover. You can totally recover using mind-body practices. And there's growing evidence. Every year that goes past, we see more and more people. I think, Raelan, you've been a leader in this, where you're showing so many people recover. It's creating a wave of hope, I believe, and belief that people would know, oh, if they can all recover, I can recover.
Yeah, I don't even know the stats these days. I wish we had numbers on recovery, but it's in the thousands. When I talk to all the people that work in all these different programs, all these coaches, it's an astronomical number. It's really incredible. We used to hear these depressing statistics. This is the joy of being live. I can't cut out all my stumbles. But yeah, that's no longer the case. So if you're here live, I'm glad you're here. And I know that when people ask questions, we always see in the comments that even if it's someone else's questions, so many people are like, yes, I've been wondering the same thing. Yeah, let's just dive right in. And for those of you that are here with us live, it would be great to hear where you're joining from in the world. It's amazing to see our global community here. So just drop that in the comments and then get your questions in the comments. And we're going to start right now and go through as many of them as we can. And thanks to Irina in the background. She's our producer. She's going to be throwing the questions up for us. So what's our first question for us today? All right, from VG. I even have been getting muscle twitches all over and head pressure and weird sensations. I've had MRIs, etc. That was clear. And this is something I've noticed with this platform. The questions never stay up long enough. But just wondering if anyone can relate and if this is TMS. Thanks. So what's really confusing with symptoms to figure out what is happening here? What are your thoughts, Amari, on that one?
Okay, so this is a great question. And VG, thank you for sharing, because I am sure a lot of other people are getting very similar symptoms. And I'm going to let you know the good news and the bad news. The good news is that your MRIs show that you are clear. This is actually fantastic, because when you get tests back that show there's nothing structural there, it's extremely reassuring, and it lets you know that you're safe to go ahead into the world of TMS. Because if something was showing up on an MRI, it really is important to investigate that and see what it is and find out as much information as you can. But when your scans are clear, I believe you can safely go forward. And muscle twitches are extremely common. I have at least 4 to 6 different types of muscle twitching that people report to me that we work with in different ways. Your symptoms of pressure and muscle twitching are, I believe, and according to the TMS diagnosis from Dr. John Sarno, they are communications. They are communications from your whole system, your brain, your nervous system. Everything that's stored inside your system is now communicating to you through these messengers. The difficult thing is, it's a difficult language to speak. We speak in words. We don't necessarily speak in sensations. So sometimes it's important to spend time almost being with those sensations to try to see and feel and use your intuition into what is happening. There are tools to do this. There are somatic tools. There are brain rewiring tools. There is learning and teaching of, how do I do that? How do I learn to understand why do I have head pressure? And more importantly, how do I make it go away? What do you think, Raelan?
Yeah, I think that's kind of hitting the nail right on the head. And it got me thinking about, I don't know if this was your experience, because Amari, you and we go way back with our symptoms before people were even talking about TMS. And if you're newer to this, TMS is just one of the terms of the many terms we have now to refer to mind-body symptoms, neuroplastic symptoms, brain-body symptoms, and so forth. It was a term coined by Dr. John Sarno. And I was just thinking, when I went through my journey and my test kept coming back normal, there was that mixed feeling of relief, but also frustration. It's like something's wrong. I didn't know what TMS was. So I love that we're in a place now that tests come back normal. And this is another clue, another, something that points you in the right direction about what you need to do and what could be helpful for your symptoms. Because back in the day, tests being normal, you're like, I've got nothing to go on here. But now that tells us a lot.
So let me give VG something more specific because it can feel, I'm not saying it does, but it might feel like we're being general or vague and that we're not specifically helping you with your question, VG,
Yeah.
or with someone else who's having a similar experience. I'm going to give you some clear what to do today to help yourself advice now to try. And I want you to also use your own instinct. So if you try something that I suggest and it doesn't feel good, stop. Yes, right. It's very important that you become your own safety system as you go forward. So I would suggest for those symptoms and for many symptoms, I would suggest you try somatic tracking. So for example, there are many people who offer this, but for example, I share somatic tracking free guided sessions on my website and on my YouTube. So you can pop on headphones, lie down and listen. So that even is possible for someone very severe. You can have access to doing this work, even if you're bedbound. Somatic tracking will allow you to spend time being curious about those symptoms, which is the first step to understanding what the message is. Somatic tracking that's designed specifically with people with chronic illness is something I would advise VG to try today or tomorrow. And if those symptoms vanish and you have different symptoms, I would still suggest trying that as the first step. So what it allows you to do is to remove a layer of stress and fear and to be open to listening to and being with those symptoms. You're almost like checking in, going, is there a message here? Can I get what it is? And maybe at the beginning you don't get what it is. You're like, I don't know, it's just uncomfortable. But you're learning a new way of being with your symptoms, which is part of the healing journey for TMS.
Yeah. And we'll have your channel linked in the description, Amari, so people can go there and find it easily. And not everybody knows this, but every channel has its own search bar. So when you get into her channel, you can put in somatic tracking into the search bar for her channel, and then you don't have to go digging or whatever topic it is that you're looking for. All
Thank
right.
you.
Great
And
question.
I do have a playlist of somatic healing exercises. So
Amazing.
I would always recommend that people start with somatic tracking because it's the most introductory. It's very unlikely, almost impossible, that it would trigger your symptoms further. It is a very down regulating. It will help things settle. And you want to do that first before you get into, oh, I'm going to do this other thing, which can ramp things up. We want to settle first and allow symptoms to release first. So VG, good question. You've got this.
Amazing. All right. What's up? What do we have up next here? We have got Emma. Hey, Emma. Thanks for joining us. Can you heal in a full-time stressful job? Oh my goodness. I hear questions like this or a version of it all the time. That is a really great question, Emma. What are your thoughts, Amari?
Raelan, I think you could take this one first. I'd love to chime in because you are someone who has worked very hard doing this channel and having a full-time job. So do you feel that your job stopped you? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, when I was working on my recovery, I wasn't working at all. So
okay,
I did end up
so that
quitting my
came
job. So
later.
I don't know that I am the best person to answer it. I can speak to what others have shared with me and my thoughts on it, but from my personal experience, I found that I needed to step away from a lot of the responsibilities in my life. That being said, I still didn't fully understand, not even close, what was happening. And I still had that mindset of my body was very sick and broken, and I had a lot of healing to do. So I really stepped away from most things in life and got into a bubble, which I know not everyone has that option. I was fortunate that I could do that. But for people who can't, that you work with, Amari, how do we navigate that?
So it's a very good question. Was it Emma, the
Yes.
question asker? Emma. Okay. So Emma has phrased it in a very good and revealing way, and she said a full-time stressful job. She didn't say a full-time job.
Yeah.
Therefore, Emma is saying to us that she finds her job stressful, and that would be the first thing we have to look at for Emma. And the question first is, how can we make Emma's job less stressful? It does not mean she quits her job or changes or stops working. It means, how do we reduce the stress? And that can be very challenging for the personality type who develops a chronic illness. People with chronic illness are usually perfectionists and people pleasers and very hardworking, very industrious, very conscientious, exactly the kind of wonderful people that make our communities great and that make the working world feel good and supported. But it means Emma maybe is overworked, and maybe Emma does a bit too much. And maybe, I don't know this, Emma, you are welcome to please comment and tell me if I'm wrong, because how can I coach someone from one sentence? But I'm guessing for the general chronic illness personality type, which I have and which so many people have, you try harder than others, you work harder than others, you do more than others, and you pressure yourself to be there and really do 100%. And so I would want to help you work out how you can write to work and say things like, I need to finish early twice a week, and I need to have slightly longer coffee breaks every day, just 5 minutes extra, and I need enough time in my lunch break to go and connect with nature. So if there's a park or a tree or somewhere where in your lunch break you can go there and ground yourself, be in nature and do a healing meditation or a very short 2 minute somatic practice, so that throughout your working day, you are releasing stress and changing that stressful job into a job. So hopefully it's the stressful part that's the problem. The job is not the problem. It's the
I love
stress.
it. Emma says, yes, you were right. I need to set some boundaries and could offload some responsibilities. I love that. And that's what I was thinking this whole time of everyone I've talked to and all the experts that I've interviewed. You know, the overwhelming majority of people don't need to blow up their lives to get better. If you're in an extreme situation where things can't be changed, or of course, something abusive or unsafe, that's a different story. But it's for all of us, it's a journey of setting boundaries, of looking at those aspects of ourselves, the behaviors we've developed, people pleasing, being a perfectionist, overworking, being hard on ourselves, not standing up for ourselves, not setting boundaries. So yeah, I think that's great. And it sounds like that's resonating for you, Emma, that's the starting place.
Good job,
Yeah.
Emma. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to blow up your life. You have to find a way to have your job and prioritize your recovery. That can be mini breaks. That can be, stand up and stretch at your computer, go for a little walk around the office, go outside, breathe one breath of fresh air and go, this is my 2 minute mini break. And then go back to work, because that is actually helping your system down regulate. Your nervous system will love you for it.
Yeah. And trust yourself. There are people I've talked to in cases where it is so extreme. We've all been in toxic environments where we can do all the boundary setting and all the time in nature. And if you're in a really problematic environment, but, you'll know for yourself when you hit that point. And, sometimes things in your environment do need to change, but typically, usually not.
Yes. Having said this, what Raelan is saying, I'm going to say it, I'm going to use an inflammatory word a little bit. Do your job. You don't have to blow up your life. Don't let anyone bully you. I think that's it. You can have employers where it is a toxic workplace and the stress is becoming because the boss is not great to you. That might be something where you look at moving to another company. That might be something where you have to protect yourself. But we're not saying with chronic illness, stop working, go to bed. Actually, that's what doctors used to say. We're saying the opposite. We're saying don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was operating on the old school mentality of, yeah. Anyways, all right, great question, Emma. All right, what do we have next here? Okay, Isadora, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hi, I'm relatively new to the chronic illness club. Oh, we're a club. The club no one wants to join. Welcome.
Well, yeah, good point.
Having a hard time knowing where and how to divide my energy. That's a good one. There is so much online. I'm overwhelmed. Yes, distrustful and unsure where to start.
Yes.
What to do with your energy?
Well, I have an article on this. So,
Ooh.
so I have an article that divides up on my website. We will link to my website below. It's amarilove.com. On my website, Isadora, is an article and it says something like how to use my energy and stop the push crash cycle. And it's divided into where you are at. For example, if you're severe and you're bedbound and you can't lift your arms, there's very little you can do. So I've put a list of activities that you can do to heal and for joy creation if you're in that situation. If you're able to walk a tiny bit or work part-time, then you're considered more moderate. And I've put a list of other potential activities you can try. And if your situation is mild, for example, you have a full-time job, but then there's not a lot of energy left on weekends, that would be very mild. There's a lot of different activities, but there are things you can do no matter the stage you're at. And in a way, I always recommend you want to give all of your energy to two things, only two things, all of it. One thing is healing practices, which might be very nice things like I suggest watching comedy as a healing practice. Like I'm not saying all healing practices are horrible or hard or courses. Comedy might be an important healing practice for you. But the other thing, so healing practices and joy. They're the two areas to devote your energy. For example, if you have a best friend and you really miss your best friend and you haven't seen her in ages because you've been sick, you want to see that best friend. You want to ask that best friend to come over and spend half an hour with you because of the joy impact. That joy will help your recovery. If you use your energy for cleaning the house, that will not help and contribute to your recovery. So
Unless you love cleaning.
if you love cleaning, do little bits because it's still, you have to get over your love of cleaning in order to recover because what you maybe love is a clean house rather than the act of cleaning. Maybe you love it being clean, which is great, but you've got to prioritize real joy. So it might be human connection. It's very often human connection, seeing a loved one, being with a loved one.
It's not scrubbing toilets.
Funnily enough, if your joy is from scrubbing toilets, you may have issues that are not about chronic illness.
Yeah. Oh, no, it is not. But I always hear about these people that love cleaning. I don't. Yeah. Okay. No, great question. Great answer. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Amari. All right. What do we have next here? Okay. Why are symptoms so extreme at night, even though there's no danger or stimulus to cause them?
Great question. I love this question. So many people have worse symptoms as well in the morning, and it's the same. They become extreme at night or at 3 a.m. Did that happen for you, Raelan?
I was mornings. Yeah. I woke up feeling worst when I got out of bed.
Yes, and there is a reason for this. And the reason is, I have to call it the theory of TMS for the sake of our own protection, because it is not widely accepted. But I believe this is factual. But the theory of TMS, as proposed by Dr. John Sarno, TMS, by the way, guys, stands, when I say it, I mean the mind-body syndrome. TMS. It's not great. He originally called it tension myositis syndrome and then changed it to the mind-body syndrome. And it just means your mind and body are looping. So things that are happening in the mind are showing in the body, and then those things happening in the body affect the mind. Like, I'm scared now because I've got symptoms. Oh, now and it just keeps looping. And it gets more and more layered. It's coming from your subconscious, which means you're not consciously aware of it. For example, subconscious patterns are always happening. So the subconscious can be kind of settled down by the conscious mind. So if I wake up with terrible symptoms, I can then consciously, with my conscious mind, decide to do things all day. I can distract myself. I can go online. I can make tea. I can lie in bed and listen to things. And my conscious mind has taken over. And I am continually doing things to distract me from any pain or symptoms. When I go to sleep, my conscious mind is no longer in charge. It's kind of gone off, the conscious mind has gone off and the subconscious comes up full force. And your subconscious, so that's what drives your dreams. That's what drives everything. Your subconscious at nighttime has now got kind of control. So when people wake up in the morning, it's because the mind, and you have high symptoms, your mind wasn't blocking them. Your mind has not been able to step in and kind of suppress things. And as the day goes on, you manage to kind of dial them down, push them down, turn away from them, distract from symptoms. And you can't do that when you're asleep. That's
So,
the theory.
and when your symptoms are stronger in the evening, though, is it because your conscious mind is calming down and you're not thinking as much and you're sort of just.
The majority of people that I've worked with, 95%, have less symptoms in the evening, higher symptoms at kind of middle of the night to the morning. So
Yeah.
higher symptoms in the evening will be a different thing. So higher symptoms in the evening is because you believe you've done too much. In the evening, if you are getting higher symptoms, it's extremely likely that you have a subconscious belief that you still have from the medical community, where they were saying to you, you have fatigue because you've got less energy. So you need to do less and you need to pace and you need to restrict activity. And because you still believe that and you subconsciously have that programming you, when you've done a lot, you'll get symptoms. That's actually, your TMS symptoms will respond strongly to your beliefs, your subconscious beliefs.
So what does a person do about that? Oh, thank you. I had your back there. I've been trying to get your follow-up questions in there. Anticipate what they would be. Yeah. So thank you very much. In the case, should I avoid distracting myself during the day? Like, how do I stop this cycle if this is what's happening?
You do it in tiny amounts because we're addicted to distraction. We're addicted to it. We need it. Now imagine, and you guys watching this probably don't need to imagine you have this in your real life. So anyone healthy who's not got chronic illness has to imagine. So a healthy person has to imagine being full of pain and symptoms and your body hurts you and you're terrified that things are breaking down and that there's scary stuff happening inside you all the time. And you're having heart rate craziness and lungs and digestion not working. So all of these things, which I had to, plus a lot of pain and plus a lot of other issues. You don't want to just lie there and be like, yeah, sure, this is where I'm at. You cannot do that all the time. You have to have some distractions in order to survive. You have to kind of get away from that pain and suffering some of the time. But most people with chronic illness are getting away from that pain and suffering all of the time. So what I would suggest is you start to do every few hours, you do a very small amount of stopping the distraction. So for example, you carry on with what you're doing now. You notice, so yes, this is a distraction, but it's great because I don't feel my symptoms so badly. But then after a couple of hours, I do 2 minutes of a practice that connects me more to the messages my symptoms are giving. I really advise these meditations for chronic illness recovery, the somatic practices, and these are kind of early stage recovery tools that are safe for you to do alone. You want to give your nervous system time to downregulate, meaning if you are doing things all the time to distract, whether you're cleaning the house or watching telly or reading books or watching recovery videos, you need some little moments where you stop doing that and you're with yourself. You're doing an exercise to be with your symptoms, but very short times, 2 minutes, and then you go back to your distractions. Gradually over a few weeks, you build that up. It becomes 5 minutes. Every 3 hours, say you do 5 minutes. few weeks later, you can do 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and you notice how you feel in those moments. And it's very difficult to do. What I'm saying to anyone with chronic symptoms, what I'm suggesting is very difficult. Who wants to stop distracting themselves and sit and be in pain? That is a very difficult challenge, but it's going to help you stop the fear of your symptoms, learn any messages that are coming from your symptoms, start to change which distraction things you might want. So a great distraction is to go and be with nature. Much better than obsessively hunting. How do I get better? How do I get better? That's very stressful. Connecting with nature is a better distraction. It is still a distraction. You ground yourself, but you go and be with trees and greens and grass. So you put flowers in your room if you're bedbound. That actually is more helpful than obsessively hunting for answers, because we want to remove layers of stress very gradually.
All right. What do we have up next? Great answer, Amari. Thanks for that. All right. Okay. What do you mean by exercise to be with yourself?
I am so happy. How do we say your name? Is it Edime or Lisa or Edime Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay. Raelan, would it be okay with you if I guide you into something very brief to answer that question? So rather than me talking, I want to give an intro to why, so Raelan can think about if she wants to do this or not, if she wants to whiz on to the next questions.
Oh, we're doing it.
Oh, we're doing it. Okay, she's decided. I work in 3 ways with people, and one is through the brain, through the mind, and we talk and you read. Or if you can't read because that's out of your window of tolerance, I teach you things very gradually. But you learn through your brain. Now, you know what that is. You did it at school. You learned how to read books when you were a kid. You know what learning is. And we work with the brain, and we work with brain rewiring exercises, and you create new neural pathways. Then I also work with somatic healing, which means through the body. And when you notice, whenever I talk about it, I always put my hands on the body. I do not mean you go off and start running. You do not go and do yoga. It's hands-on practice, which is directly for chronic illness healing. And then I work with emotional healing, which is guided healing into your subconscious, where you go into a light subconscious state. And that's very deep, and most people can't do it. You have to get ready and build capacity and resilience to be able to go there so that you don't get triggered into big symptoms. So the earlier stages still can bring up emotions. They still release things. They still regulate your nervous system. And I would like to show you a safe one to do. I'm going to guide Raelan into it, and anyone at home who would like to can join in. It's exactly the kind of work I do with clients in the early stages. It might bring up emotions. It will I want to say probably, but then I was edging towards possibly. It will probably or possibly downregulate your nervous system, which might mean it removes a layer of stress. It looks simple, but it's quite deep. So what I'd like to do is anyone who's severe or bedbound, please just watch. Please don't do this right now, because the most important thing for me is that you don't increase your triggering. We don't want to actually trigger some emotional wave that is too difficult for you to bear right now. If your situation is severe, work with meditations, work with brain rewiring exercises. We don't go to somatic healing yet. If you're moderate or mild, please join in and please write to us what's going on for you. And of course, Raelan, I believe, is safe because she is recovered. So she can easily do this without a big impact. Okay. Is that okay, Raelan, if I guide you?
Please. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the type of practices that I recommend. It's a somatic practice. I also recommend pairing it with connecting to nature, doing guided meditations that help specifically chronic illness, and building up a rhythm. So releasing stress with those like micro breaks, even if you're working full time. So what we're going to do is a somatic healing practice. Somatic means hands-on through the body, and it will access your mind, any suppressed or stored experiences or emotions. And this, I don't know if you've heard of it, Raelan, it's called the containment hug. No. Okay, so it was invented about 30 years ago by a wonderful leader in the field of somatic healing called Peter Levine. And I'm going to invite you to copy me. And we take the right hand and we put it on the left chest, and it's kind of half over your heart and half under the arm. So almost in your armpit, right? So you've got half your hand over your chest and half in your armpit. And the first thing to do is see if you want to put quite a lot of pressure there, or if you like that hand to be a bit loose or really holding. And I want to say to you, anyone at home, accept the concept that you're holding your heart. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. Your hand's over your heart, and it's like slightly to the side, but we're going to accept the concept that your hand is over your heart. And then the other hand, your left hand, going to place on the other arm. Now it could be quite up. You want to find where's comfy for you, and it might be lower down. I don't want anyone to struggle. Yeah, you might need to wriggle. People who are watching this at home, you might want to sit down, or you might want to get more comfy, change your position, wriggle, find where that hand feels good. I like it quite high up, and I like quite a firm grip. But you might, if you're sore or anything, you might want a very light touch, almost hands not quite touching you, right? But I find it reassuring to have a firm hand there. And that's what I want you to check in first. Raelan, I want you to see what feels more reassuring or comforting to me. Is it a light touch? Is it my hand here or here? What is comforting or what is soothing right now? And if I don't know, that's okay. I'll just leave it where it is if I'm not sure. But for me, for some reason, quite a tight hold feels very reassuring. So Raelan, see what feels good to you, or if it all feels the same.
I think somewhere in the middle. I try to really light hold, a more firm grip, and kind of just a medium seems to be comfortable. Feels good.
And I'm inviting everybody at home to also watch what's happening with us. Raelan also did this. So if you feel inclined at home to do that too. That is a kind of a automatic relaxation move. Did you, Raelan, consciously choose to do it? Did your brain go, I better wriggle my head, or did that just happen?
It just happened.
So that just happened. So this is the kind of thing we're interested in, not to analyze or worry about with our mind, but anyone at home, if something's just happening, allow it. So what we tend to do, everybody, I want to give you permission to not do this. We sit really stiff and still, and we go, oh, I'm trying to do it right. I'm trying to do it right. And I'll just sit and you don't even realize you're doing it. So you're completely allowed to like lift your shoulders a moment and drop them, or wriggle your head, or wriggle so that your back moves a bit if you want to, or slump in your chair. Slump. You don't have to keep a straight back. We are not doing yoga. You can slump and then come back up, because we have so much training of being good and being good at school and sit up straight while I teach you something, that one of the things we want to do is we're trying to drop the being good, and you just be however you are, however you are. Oh, however I am, I'm covering my mic. Okay, I'll move my mic so that people can hear me. Sorry guys, if that was my fault. Okay, so however you are is good. That's the first thing. Another thing that just happened was I didn't choose to do it, it just happened. Quite often when I do this hold, my body does a sigh. And the first time I did it, Raelan sighed straight afterwards. And I don't know if anyone at home also did that. But I'd like to invite you to just notice, this is actually called co-regulation. When you see someone doing something that your system kind of wants or needs, your system might just do that. So what we do is we sit here for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, noticing that the system maybe just needs a couple of minutes to come out of freeze. People at home, you may feel numb. You may not even be able to feel your hand on your skin. And I want you to know that's okay. That's so valid. Other people may be doing this and feeling reassured or soothed. Other people might be tearful and think, what's happening? I don't know why am I getting emotional? Everything is valid and okay because everybody's at different stages. But it's safe to just sit with yourself in this way for a few moments. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to understand it. You just allow your system to do whatever it needs to do. And now I'm going to encourage you to actively choose to do a sigh like that. So you do a sigh where you make a noise on the out breath. It doesn't have to be a deep sigh. And again, my system wants to do what Raelan's doing. And my ears popped. And as you can hear, as I said earlier, my emotions are coming up in my throat. I don't have to analyze them. I just get a bit of a scratchy throat sometimes when emotions come up. It's quite often grief, sadness, loss, and I get a bit of a gravelly throat. It doesn't mean I'm coming down with a cold or tonsillitis or that I'm getting a new symptom. My emotions want to talk. They're giving me a message. They're saying there's something here that wants to be dealt with or processed or looked at. Really good. And what I'm noticing, and the reason I share what I'm noticing is in case it's in you at home or in you, Raelan, I'm noticing kind of twinges in my back, almost old back pain popping up to go, hello, I can still be here. I'm noticing tightness in my chest. Are you noticing anything, Raelan? Would you say you feel quite numb, empty? You might be getting thoughts. This is not necessarily Raelan, but people at home might be getting irritated. Like, this is a waste of time. Why are we doing this? This is nothing and then not doing anything. That's the mind complaining. It might not want to do a somatic practice where we're going through the body. The mind might be very busy. Are you noticing anything, Raelan?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking I want to conduct all my interviews in this position. So if people see me doing this in the future, you'll know why. But I didn't realize how much tension I was holding in my mind and in my body. And over the last couple of minutes, I just feel like it's all melting away. I feel myself calming down, being more present, breathing more easily. So for me, I likely because live interviews can bring on stress and pressure, but we have a zillion things in our life that can bring on that. So I just feel like a whole mind and body sigh has happened, and I'm way more comfortable and aware of
And this happens more
letting go.
strongly. It happens more strongly when you're with someone. And because our
Mm.
brains are, they haven't caught up with modern technology. Our wiring is, a few thousand years ago. We're still kind of evolving. So our brain believes we're in the room together. So my brain completely believes I'm sitting with Raelan and we're doing this together, and your brain. So we get the benefit of co-regulation, even though we're on Zoom or people are, on YouTube. You get that benefit of feeling more safe. There is a programming in us that we're not really safe to do healing work alone. And this is something that some of the leaders in this field talk about, that you can't help that. That is your survival response from thousands of years ago. But if you were on the plains of Africa looking out for lions and tigers, you can't really relax if you're alone because they're going to come and eat you. But you've got one other person with you, you can sleep. Just like they can keep watch, and then you keep watch, and so it's very automatic in your nervous system that you can release a layer of stress just by sitting perhaps like this. This is a containment hug like this with another person. That could be a friend, that could be a partner. It needs to be someone who 100% is on your side. It's not someone you've been having arguments with every day, right? It's someone who's on your side completely. And you sit with them and you say, do this with me. And you just sit a couple of minutes, and it's going to help you release stress, and possibly emotions come up. Possibly other sensations come up. Like I actually am getting, a sore throat, bit of a twinge in my back. I want you to hear how that's not bad. That's not bad that things come up. They actually want to communicate. They want us to be with it and listen and go, okay, okay, my throat's doing something. I've probably got some feelings that want to be released and processed. Even though I'm recovered, that's not a symptom. I'm not developing back into CFS. I just have human emotions that want to get expressed sometimes. Great. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. And that is such a profound and helpful insight that you just said. Um, how you talked about being alone and how that right there, just being by ourselves, has a tendency to put our nervous system into a state of not relaxing. And especially when we're facing these chronic conditions, many of us are alone much of the time. That's just really helpful to know. And then when you are alone, maybe that's time for some extra, whatever your practices are, to help you. Through those moments, bookmark this video, come back, do that exercise with us. So yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you for guiding us through that.
I'll say something else about that, about the alone thing. I want people to realize you can use tools to feel less alone. I want you to cheat. You don't have to be not alone all the time. You can put on audio from someone's voice that you love. I mean, to the ladies in the audience, Chris Hemsworth reads children's stories and he calls them bedtime stories. He is a gorgeous man with a lovely voice, reading stories that are incredibly soothing and adorable. If you feel alone, you can put his voice on and listen to that. If you feel alone, you can ask your partner for a hug if you have a partner. If you don't have a partner, use these things that exist, audiobooks or videos, Raelan's videos, my videos. So this person is with you. Even though they're on a screen, your whole system will feel that that person is with you. Our brains are still in the caveman area. They won't know it's an audio, but they won't know it's on a video. We want you to feel less alone because your system can heal better that way. It's really great to release stress, to just feel less alone. I also have said rather controversially in the past, a teddy bear helps. And that makes it sound like I'm saying a teddy bear is the cure. It isn't the cure. You're wanting to feel less alone and more good to you, more soothed.
Yeah, I love that. All right, we're going to go into our next question. Just a note to Amari. I think your mic, we're getting a little bit of feedback. It's so challenging with the mics, but yeah.
Shall I change it?
No, we can keep going. I think it's just rubbing against it. So just where
I
your
have to stop
hands
doing.
yeah, that was a challenge exercise to not touch your microphone.
I'm like,
Thank you for doing that.
nobody has to be good or sit still, but I have to because I keep rubbing the mic. Sorry. Okay, I'll be good. I'll be good.
All right, what's our next question? Okay, JJ, I'm befriending my nervous system. Her name is Michaela or Michaela. I love it. What can I do to improve our circadian rhythm? I love the wording of that.
Great. I love that. Raelan, shall I go for it? Shall I answer?
You shall.
The circadian rhythm is the waking up in the morning, going to bed at night that gets so messed up when you go into fight, flight, freeze. And so many people with ME, CFS are awake all night and cannot move in the morning till like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. This is very typical with this chronic condition. And I'm guessing that this might be what Michaela means. She might mean, I'm trying to get back into a friendlier, more natural circadian rhythm, which is wake up with daylight, go to sleep a bit after it gets dark. If I'm wrong, Michaela, please type to us to explain further. But this is a kind of biological function that's wired into us, right? So the simplest and the most effective way to help yourself get back into the right rhythm is in the morning, you have to look at daylight. Therefore, if you are severe, you need a big window to look out of. I mean, if you don't have a window in your bedroom and you're bedbound, I would suggest the priority is to have a different bedroom that has a window. Like you could use a sad lamp, but they're not as good as a window. If there is any way that you are moderate or mild, you can go outside. You actually really even want to go and stand on your doorstep in your pajamas early in the morning and let daylight go into your eyes. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter if there's no sun. That huge level of lumens will trigger cortisol levels in your body and put you into the right rhythm. Your cortisol will release hugely, sending all these signals to the brain and the nervous system that it's daytime, and you will automatically be programmed to start falling asleep. I can't remember if it's something like 14 hours later, but it's like a set number of hours. So you need to do it every single morning. First thing, daylight, 30 seconds, 1 minute. That's the best way to fall into the natural circadian rhythm. However, with a chronic illness, your body will not then just naturally relax in the evening and let you fall asleep, because there are suppressed issues, there are suppressed things in your system. That's why you're not relaxing and falling asleep at night. It's not because you're doing it wrong or it's because there are things inside you that require you to look at them and work with them and hear them as messages.
Yeah, this is a massive one that so many people talk about. I struggled with for years. I still struggle with if I'm not careful. And, sometimes I'm not careful. So I go through this and everything gets out of whack. And for me, and I know, for virtually everyone, that circadian rhythm and that good night's sleep starts first thing in the morning. We think about it as what we do before bed, but it's getting up. The sunlight has been the most impactful game changer for me, and getting up at the same time ish every day, and then getting out, even if it's just, a couple of minutes. And then making that switch can be really challenging, because if your body's not used to that getting up at that time, you're probably going to have a rough couple of weeks. And just to accept that that's part of it, and not to stress over the laying awake at night, or your body will shift. And then things that you do throughout the day, if I don't give my brain any quiet time all day, it's going to come alive when I turn the lights out. Or if I'm having caffeine and sugar or alcohol, or a lot of processed food, that my body is all wound up and revved up. I'm just a zillion things. I'm constantly telling my husband, bright lights in the evening, TV in the evening, just setting up your environment. But yeah, it's a challenging one. It
I
really
just
is.
I just want to add to that as well, that I do not advise people to get up earlier in the morning. If you're getting up
Oh,
at 1 p.m. and that's okay, I just say at 1 p.m. So go to the window, go to your doorstep and
okay.
get in the daylight. You just start where you are, because I think it's too hard for people, and I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have made myself get up at 7 a.m. when I'd only had about
Yeah.
half an hour's sleep. I mean, I
Yeah.
couldn't go, yeah, this is my day now, and now I've got chronic symptoms all day, and now. So if they're waking up at 1 p.m., that's okay. You go and you get some daylight in your eyes at 1 p.m. You try and shift it maybe next week to get up at midday and go get a bit of
Yeah.
daylight. But what we're talking about here is not mind body healing. This circadian rhythm stuff is from doctors. So in a way, I want to suggest to this person that you need to look at mind body healing. You need to not focus on, what shall I do for my body's healing? How do I lift my cortisol levels? Let me be with daylight. That's not what you need to look at. You need to look into, what is the mind body syndrome? Why do I have the symptoms in the first place? This is not caused by a lack of sleep. You do not have fatigue because you have low energy or bad sleep. You have fatigue because it is a symptom to distract you from stored stresses in your body. So we need to work with, what are those stored stresses, how to release them, then
Yeah.
you'll sleep. You don't need
It's
to
a good
beat yourself up and like, oh, I've got to get up at 6 a.m. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, it's a good point. And for many people, insomnia is just one more symptom. Like one
Yes.
person's insomnia is another person's back pain. So
Yeah.
if you're doing the sleep hygiene, you've named your nervous system. I love that so much. You're doing the work and it's still not coming. You can get caught in that, trying to target each symptom individually, which we know is not so effective.
You have to, it's very difficult, but the suggestion is accept that you've got a bunch of things that are horrible. Like, I don't sleep. I sleep at all the wrong times. I've got pain. I've got heavy fatigue. I've got brain fog, and I've got this problem and that, and I'm not breathing great, or I've got heart rate problems. Okay, so these are my symptoms. What is causing them, and what am I going to do about it? And who can help me? Like, this is where to focus. Not, oh, today the heart thing. Oh, today the sleep thing. Oh, today the... Because if you individually focus on each symptom, it can go on for decades. That was me. I was focused on each individual symptom for years, and trying to fix each symptom, and then years go by until you realize, okay, they're all part of a picture.
Mm.
They're all here for one hidden reason, which is to bring me back to what is driving them.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my goodness, we could do this, Amari, for 10 hours. I don't think anyone has the capacity to watch that long, and I wouldn't do that to you. But for people that want to connect with you, learn more, I know you have a lot of great free resources, you do coaching, and just tell us a bit about that.
Okay, wonderful. So I have free resources and recovery tools on my website, including, just like we just did, somatic practices, which are hands-on body, very gentle, but bringing up nervous system regulation issues, bringing up emotions. I have a very small but growing YouTube channel where you get new, fresh videos that guide you, give you tips, suggestions, also guided meditations. So
Mm.
for anyone who's had negative experience of meditations in the past, I would encourage you to try one of mine. Just pick one, any title, because these are specifically for if you have a chronic illness and if you have symptoms. So they are really tailored to how to help you now with dealing with symptoms. I think just the idea of meditating for its own sake is not really useful. You want meditations that specifically help you combat your symptoms. They're on my YouTube channel, which is Amari Love Coaching on YouTube. And I do daily tips on Instagram. So we get little 90-second, remember to do this or don't overdo this. And also just to give some hope as well. So I share some of my story. I've been slow traveling. I've been realizing how happy I am to be recovered. And that's quite important to share as well, because it's hard to keep going if you're working hard on your recovery and you feel like, am I going to get to the end? Like, what's it going to be like at the end? Do I get to go on traveling trips? And, where's my joy? Sometimes people say that to me in sessions. When do we get to the joy? They say. And I say, you're on session 2. Should we get rid of the symptoms first? Because it's together. We need to get rid of your symptoms and you get joy. And I've got to say, me having no symptoms, I do feel very happy about that. And I'm sure everyone at home will feel very happy when they don't have symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. All of this will be linked in the video description, obviously. And if there's a way for you to get some more Amari in your life, whether it's Instagram or her YouTube channel or coaching, I absolutely recommend doing it. Amari, you and I have hung out in real life, which is unusual. I don't get to meet a lot of my guests. And when she was in San Francisco, we had the most amazing conversation. And I just like, wow, we really need to, we need to get you this on the channel. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I love the in-depth answers and the time that you took to really answer them thoroughly. And I'm sure this was helpful for a lot of people. So thank you.
It's
All
been
right.
wonderful. And I hope everybody at home, take good care of yourselves.
Yeah, big hugs to all of you. And thank you if you joined us live. Thanks for joining us live. If you're here on catching the replay, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, everything you need to know about Amari and learn more is in the description. We'll hope you will check it out. Thanks for watching and take care, everyone.